back to another episode of
from the
SideQuest.
past,
Per
so to
usual, we have
speak,
another
and a
juicy
little bit of
episode, and to
the
tell us all about
new
it is
age,
the
if you
V to my
will,
Johnny
and then
Silverhand.
some
Ken, what do we
things
got
are
on
kind of
today?
flying under the radar that might not be on everyone's radar, but a couple games that I want to put on the map, so to speak. Shout out to China in that regard, but we have a lot to go over, Jake, and let's go ahead and get into it. And first up, we have, of course, the Battlefront II. So this game has made a resurgence, especially if you've been a Star Wars fan in the gaming space in any capacity. This is probably one of EA's most highlighted games, I would say, in their catalog for sure. But Jake, what do you have to tell us about Battlefront's random, or if not random, resurgence on the scene?
So, all around online that I had seen, there were a lot of people in the comment section that was basically recruiting people to come back to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 in hope of a resurgence would maybe get the developers at EA to start the process of getting a third one going. The game was launched back in 2017 and had received constant updates regularly until 2020, it says. Just recently, this last weekend, it said that there was a concurrent player amount on Steam of 18,635 people consistently online playing the game, and they were also reviewing and giving a very positive tag with all of the reviews. Uh,
Mm.
there's also had been talks of the back in I believe after the game was released back in this, so it was like in 2019 or so, they were talking about making a third one. What was to say that got shut down, I'm not entirely sure myself, but there was
Mm.
also one of the developers says of the game said that it would be a while before the third one was dropped, but they were encouraged to see everybody getting back on to the Battlefront 2. Uh, Ken, what's your thoughts? Or do you think that with people jumping onto back onto number two, that it gives them, if not maybe a jump start to get to number three, that they possibly could do maybe some more updates on it or something, some new
Well,
content?
it's interesting that you say that because I just checked my gaming catalog on my phone to see if I had access to a Battlefront 2. Like, did I purchase this in the past? Oh, do I have this? And I do apparently.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that is because at least in my personal opinion, PlayStation, or at least PlayStation Pro, I'm not sure if it's like for the base consoles at all. I don't think it is, but we have the ability to do like upscaling, so it makes like older PS4 games. Like I think Xbox has a similar feature. That optimizes like all their games just run at like 60 frames per second or whatever the case may be. But
Mm-hmm.
this was on the trending list. So for Battlefront 2 to be on the trending list on the PlayStation, that means that like for at least for myself, like this isn't just like and for someone who has played Battlefront 2 in the past, it is a banger. If you're being
Right.
honest, this is the
Yeah.
same people who made whatchamacallit, or the same time that the old school Battlefields came out, so like the same studios
Yep.
I think
Dice.
were still like, yeah, we're
Yep.
still like working on both these games. And that's when we had like the good dice, so to speak, in terms of what we have now. That's whatever. It comes with the times. People want this, whatever, blah blah blah. But I think far as Battlefront 2 and like the future of it, it would be nice for some extra additions, especially with what we've come to expect from AAA shooters just overall. I'm sure there could be some polish to the UI, the looting systems, all that stuff. I'm sure it could be like some small touches. Like from what I've seen like online, I haven't played it yet myself. I'm like almost like tempted to download it myself right now. But for what I've noticed, it's one of those things where it still looks pretty. I mean, EA have never put out like a ugly game. I won't say ever, but when it comes to Battlefield, Battlefront, they're not like ugly games at all.
Right.
Battlefront has some polish to it. So why not capitalize on if the infrastructure is there already? If you're going to milk us anyway, and people are already playing it, it might be a win-win situation for the powers that be in the gaming world. I don't know. I don't know.
And they could also. There's been enough, Star Wars content just on Disney Plus alone that's come out over the past so many years that they could just incorporate and get some more characters, some more maps, like just enough to keep them maybe people suffice and keep them tuned in, and then maybe see if that's enough to pull the green light on three. Like I said, the developer said that would be a long time before that were to happen. Um, it's but
They
it's encouraging to see like fans that want another game to go back to a previous title to show it love and admiration to the developers to kind of encourage them and be like, hey, you guys should make another one of these. You still have a strong fan base for it. I don't know, like I said, what the prior decision was to can the potential, trilogy on this, but
Well, and I think if they were to greenlight something, I was going to say the concurrent player, at least on Steam, needs to be like a little bit more substantial what they have right now. To
yeah.
warrant
I mean, it's not bad
know
numbers, but
like
you need to hit over 100,000, I think.
yeah, like, a little bit more of a push because it's like yes, it's nice that you'll be able to wait 5 minutes to get into a match. Maybe I don't know what the poll is like, but let's be for real. Like how many people are? I mean, Star Wars has been done like over and over again through and through, and it's one of those things where it's not if you can catch the magic because there's not that there hasn't been good Star Wars games out there, but Battlefront, if you're looking for a multiplayer like IP or whatever you want to call it, that's it. You can like people love their shoot and my whole thing is make the weapons just like punchy. That's all. I mean, yes, it's lasers and stuff, but you can still make them punchy. Like I don't know.
Right.
That's always been my thing with like Star Wars games. Just like make it like not so pum pum. Like I get the pum pum, but it can still pum pum hard if that makes sense.
I,
I
I think it is
don't
also hard for some people to kind of, I guess, digest the news of what the developer says, just because, like you said, I mean, and this is the only multiplayer Star Wars game with like the IP on it that people have currently. So looking for
know. Hmm.
something new and updated and fresh on that is uh, apparently is something that was strong enough for people to hop on to the second game here and hopefully make a difference or make a change in the developers' minds to give them something in return and show them that they, if there's a strong fan base out there for the game, that the developers will definitely, try, like I said, throw them a bone, throw them some new content or some new characters or something to reward them.
Hmm.
They're coming back, they're making your game, get better reviews and stuff. It's only gonna one bring you more money and it's only gonna make your company look better. So I just kind of see it as a easy win for EA, I guess, if they wanted to capitalize on it.
Honestly, I mean, and the game came out in 2017.
Right.
So 2017, and it's what? 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Almost a decade later. So
Almost used
eight
all 10 of his
years.
fingers there, folks.
Yeah, almost like I counted with my hands. I did it. Um, but golly, so unless I could see also, I'm not saying like this is like my like let's say shadow drop some excuse my language, but like that's never not a possibility. They could just be like, bam, like fresh Battlefront to like like could you imagine? Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Because you could like because you talk about an influx of players, like y'all want something fresh, here's something fresh, and then because this could easily be a psyop in terms of hey. Battlefront 2, like this can't be for no reason,
And I mean, it wouldn't take much
is what I'm saying.
either. It would just be like,
So
a
we'll see.
next. I mean, it wouldn't take much either. It'd just be like some updated or like some patch notes that you could put on there to make the game look a little bit better, or like I said, throw in some like new characters or something like that. Just something to freshen up the game and to like reward the players. I mean, they could even go the real cheap avenue if they want and get like a weapon charm for somebody to put on their gun. Give them something free. I don't care. Like
Yeah,
like I said, the
I just
community's coming back. They're showing you love. I just feel like you should show some love back.
I just downloaded it. I just did it. I was like, screw it. I want to see what's up.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Lena, and I'm the manager of the Pokemart in Celadon City, the biggest Pokemart in the Kanto region. I'm proud to say that we are today's sponsor for this episode of SideQuest. Now, an actual sponsor. We have everything that you are looking for in our giga-sized store. We have potions, antidotes, burn heals, super repel, and so much more. Try browsing our wide selection of TMs and see if you can find a move that's best suited for your Pokemon. Do you need a particular stone so your Pokemon can evolve? Check out the variety that we have on floor 4. And as always, for all your Pokemon adventure needs, stop in at the Celadon Pokemart, the biggest Pokemart in the Kanto region.
And up next, we're going to talk about this beautiful game that Ken's been sending me screenshots of, and it looks, I mean, really breathtaking. It's called Where Winds Meet. Ken, you did get your hands on the game. What did you think about it?
And yeah, it's a game being published by NetEase, and I feel like NetEase has been a little bit of everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right now in the gaming space, I think they were the ones who published even Marvel Rivals,
Yep.
I believe. So they have quite a catalog under them. But I know where Winds meets, it's been akin to my takeaway would be if you took God of War and mixed it with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, like in terms of Chinese mythology, Chinese martial arts. That's what you get here. So it has a lot going for itself. Like you said, Jake, I sent you like quite a few screenshots, and I don't think the screenshots in of itself does the game justice, quite frankly.
Mm.
Um, that being said, though, um, I was playing the game on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and the performance was I experienced like a weird amount of screen tearing, which obviously can make or break the game like easy. And
Right.
granted, it was a closed beta, so I was like, okay, I can't make too many you know assumptions, so to speak. But I've played plenty of closed betas myself, and, maybe not of this caliber of game, so to speak, because it is a pretty game. Like even like currently, I'm just like watching like just some like footage of the game playing in the background and whatnot. But it has a lot going for itself. It has like your what you call it, like similar to like I guess you could say games like The Witcher or games, I guess, your standard RPGs where you go out into the world and do things, blah blah blah. But this is in China, so we don't have a lot of games that explore like Chinese like culture, like in this kind of light, at least within like this time period of sorts. So, I'm excited for the game. I grew up watching like martial art movies and stuff. The Drunken Master, this and that, blah blah. So it's just always nice to kind of experience like the different flavor, I suppose, in the gaming space. So I believe it's going to be free to play. That is a positive if memory serves me correctly. Open on all platforms. I'll have to like dive back and like see if like my assumption is correct, but definitely something to keep on your radar for sure.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit more about the game? Maybe perhaps about like the gameplay in itself. I know that you said it's a martial arts game, which I could imagine that the hand to hand combat on it would be not as maybe as good as visually stunning as the game is.
Yeah, the gameplay. So I will say this: the gameplay takes some getting used to, and I guess this is with like any game style. So, if you're familiar with games like Final Fantasy of sorts, like very flashy, swift movements and whatnot, you have like it's not akin to like a Souls like game at all. So it is a little bit forgiving of sorts, but not that forgiving just the same. It does take some what's what we're looking for, paying attention to perhaps when you're fighting like different bosses and things like that. Again, this is just the closed beta. I didn't really get a chance to play like it in full flesh, like 30, 40 hours of like solid play time. But there are a lot of mechanics that go into what you can go into, and even with the attacks, you have like a not necessarily skill tree, but how many attacks that you can use at any given time. So you have kind of like a weapons wheel of sorts where you can like use this. Like you have a lot at your disposal or your toolkit, and you're not as confined as compared to some games where it's just like, oh, you can only use the sword right now. You can only use this right now. You have a little bit more of agency to and traversal is pretty sweet. um, I've I played at least some instance where you have like a nice little like double jump kind of thing. But again, if you're familiar with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of uh, style of things, again, and that's just like the best reference I can go off of or popular reference. Like you're just like like flying through the air and it's just like it's cool. It's cool, So I don't know. It's something I think it's worth looking into. Especially if you want a fresh take on like a different style of open world RPG. Uh, this might be something worth looking into for sure.
So it says here that the game takes place during the chaotic Five Dynasties and Ten Kingdoms era, and after the fall of the Tang Dynasty. It also says that players will have access to multiple different weapons and fighting styles. The size of the playable map is expected to be 20 square kilometers, and the game also allows players to learn multiple skills such as medicine as well. So you're looking at a hopefully a not only visually stunning game, but something that's deep.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on and let's talk about Doom: The Dark Ages. This game has been met with I want to say mixed reviews, but with someone who has played the game, uh, Jake, go ahead and give us no review of what's been going on with Doom's latest release.
Well, I mean, all of the ratings that we got on here, like it all depends on where you get your taste of game from and who you kind of listen to. Like a lot of people, it's like I try not to get persuaded by it and like play more stuff, but it's people always get persuaded in that regard. But like they got 9 out of 10, 85 out of 100 on Metacritic and such like that. I got about chapter 7, I think they said, out of 22 done, and I played through it last night. Decided that staying up
Mm.
till like 2 in the morning and playing it was a good idea, but you know, sacrifices need to be named in the name of gaming. But
you know,
uh, I I I think it's not Doom Eternal good, like in per se, but like I do think it's they nailed it again for what they were trying to go for. They're going for the the medieval dark age fighting through hell with with his shield, and you get your
mm.
shotgun and all the other gadgets that you get and stuff. But I mean, as usual, the aesthetic and the story that they picked and stuff, I think they did a good job. But the gameplay is like for a Doom game, what you're looking for. It is what it is. It's the shield getting stuck in the enemy, and you're able to like bounce bullets off of the shield while it's stuck in the enemy and hit surrounding enemies. You're able to, you got a flail that you can smash people's faces in. It's everything that you're looking for in a Doom game as far as ripping demons to shreds.
Mm.
Could I say that I've been really paying attention to the story or like the lore of the game? And
Absolutely not.
give or take. I mean, For the way that the game looks, plays, everything for a Doom game, I do think that it deserves like its accolades. I think it's more of like a 7 maybe out of or 8 out of 10. But I've like I said, I only have like maybe 4 or 5 hours into the game, so I haven't maybe hit the good stuff yet. But uh,
Sure.
I do enjoy myself a good Demon Slayer as far as like just going getting new abilities, not only new guns but new abilities to like help you with the
Thrash
game
around
and
with
stuff.
and
Yeah, and
mm,
the shield's a beautiful addition. It gives you like like a nice parry like thing too. And like I got an upgrade last night where I land a parry and like the charge on the one gun that I have, it's up max, so then I can like shoot it right away. Like it's got the nice things like that and stuff, but I'm when
mm.
I play a Doom game, I'm not really thinking much of like the story as anything. Does he look like an absolute badass every time he drops into an area and gets ready to slice up some demons? Absolutely, and that's what, and that's what he does.
That's what he's made for. That's exactly what he's made for.
Exactly, that's his identity. He drops into an area and you're just like, "Hey man, like we need you to clear this out." He's like, "I'm on it," and you just have
Like you
fun.
just shoot it for anything else, you've been mistaken.
Exactly. You get that first person point POV of just being able to rip demons apart with your bare hands and every other tool underneath the sun. And so it hits on all the regards of as far as like being like a good Doom game in my opinion. But as far as it being
See,
like maybe like a game of the year candidate or something that far, not so much.
I feel like if they could make a Doom movie, but it couldn't be live action. It had to be animated because the amount of blood that would be needed to make it like a Doom movie would be like surreal, quite
Right.
frankly. Just the CGI, because it's like you can't have a movie called Doom and just it be like how much you're talking. Like, no, we need this to be the John Wick of demon slaying, basically. So
There's
I
also a
don't know.
spot in the game too where you get to jump into a giant like titan and kind of fight another demon like kind of specific Pacific Rim style and
Nice little set
yeah,
piece.
so I mean if you didn't think that fighting on the ground with a shield and shotguns and ripping demons apart with your bare hands was enough, you can also fight it like it's demons, like it's a kaiju. So a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. Go. And like I've played the last Doom that I've played personally was Doom Eternal,
Mm.
and I think I told you earlier, like I prefer to play games like Doom with like this is just maybe personal preference, or with a mouse and keyboard. So I'm not sure if there's mouse and keyboard support on console right now, but if there isn't, that would definitely be like something I would like hopefully they would implement, because it's that quick turning around, like because I know you can get overwhelmed pretty easily depending on what like a level you're playing on and this and that. It could so I will ask you, like far as like the Dark Ages aesthetic, like do you think they nailed it on like the vibes, in the game, from like a design standpoint? Like is it like this is, because I like graphics, as whatever as shallow as that might sound sometimes, but
I I think that they nailed it. I'm the main antagonist from what I can see. He's a prince from hell and stuff like that, which obviously goes into the theme too. But as far as like the aesthetic, as far as for the Dark Ages and stuff, the shield's awesome. It's got the chain blade on the side of it for you to like rev it up and use it as almost like a chainsaw. Doom guy's got the like the cape, and there's dragons and all that fun stuff. There's even a mission where you get to throw a kid on a dragon and fly around and do all that stuff. And I mean,
mm,
it's base. Is it, like I said, is it Doom Eternal like good? I don't think so, but it's definitely Doom with like a different aesthetic, and it does it well. Like
right.
I mean, I at this point I feel like with the gameplay that they have and with everything else, like the gameplay that they have and the mechanics that they have is like for the characters and stuff like that. I feel like they can kind of nail Doom in whatever aesthetic that they choose and pick. Um, I think they just happened to pick maybe the one that was like the most popular at a point right now, like with people having like the with with Baldur's Gate and like Oblivion and all that kind of stuff, but.
And that's what threw me off of, what you call it. Like I think God of War Ragnarok was like my last like Greek mythology game. Like we've went through like so many like Greek, games until that point. I was like, okay, we reached the top. Like, let's not do the Norse like stuff anymore, you guys. So I don't know. We're working our way through the historical trenches, I suppose.
Yeah. As far as how the game, like I said, the story goes and how it mixes in with the aesthetic of it being the Dark Ages and stuff, I don't know. But I do know that I'm like running across an open field, like into a castle that has like thousands of demons in it, and they're all supposed to die in a particular manner, and I'm equipped to take care of that. So that's what I do.
That's my job.
Yeah, I'm not here to make political decisions or whatever that they're deciding to do to use the Doomslayer as a machine or a weapon of their choosing. I'm just here to throw my shield at people and use a shotgun. Like
I'm gonna do some stuff.
I'm here to clean up.
Today's SideQuest episode is brought to you by Spacer's Choice, the brand of choice for spacers on a budget. Spacer's Choice makes a wide range of products. Do you need a weapon to protect yourself with? Try our affordable light pistol. It's easy to handle and is now 30% less likely to malfunction. Spacer Choice also meets all of your consumable needs. We have 2-hour energy brew, tarmac mac and cheese, Ollie Ollie toxic free, and much more. Products may cause constipation, diarrhea, nausea, insomnia, and possible exposure to radiation. Come visit us at Edgewater or anywhere you can find a Spacer's Choice instant merch vending machine. And remember, it's not the best choice, it's Spacer's Choice. Now, natural sponsor of the show.
And up next on here on SideQuest, we're going to be talking about Darth Vader being added to Fortnite. Everybody's really excited about the iconic Star Wars villain, but there's seems to be some controversy that follows with it. Ken, you want to cover that for us?
Yeah, and oh gosh, this is a multifaceted issue, so to speak. So Darth Vader's added to Fortnite by way of AI. So Darth Vader, if you destroy Darth Vader and his surrounding enemies, he joins your party and you get the ability to be able to talk to him. But he, uses the voice of, was it James Earl Jones?
Yes, sir.
As his voice. So that's some nasty concerns because he was granted permission from the estate. So that's fine legally in that end.
Right.
The issue, so to speak, comes from SAG-AFTRA, who has been lobbying for fair labor practices when it comes to actors who work in the video game industry and the actors industry. Just AI taking over the need of people, basically.
Right.
So in one instance, it's kind of cool from a nostalgia standpoint. Like, hey, I can talk to the Darth Vader that I always knew and grew up with, and we can go on adventures together in this video game kind of thing, because it is that powerful kind of thing. But on the flip side is, what's the point of hiring anyone if I can just replicate a voice or make a voice, make it sound like this? And because technology, for those who aren't aware, we're here. Like that's where the controversy is at. So you're talking about people losing lots of money in terms of not being able to have the job of being a voice actor, or needing to look to voice acting as a profession, so to speak. You know, and that's movies and things alike. I mean, like you can have the best writer, or you can have the computer write you a script, and so where does that rabbit hole end after a certain point, in terms of just creativity? So I haven't been able to try Darth Vader myself. I did my toes into Fortnite, these past over the past Memorial Day weekend. Couple wins under my belt. If I am going to gloat, solos, because I'm that guy. I'm that guy, But I didn't get a chance to get my access to Darth Vader at all. But I have seen on YouTube like a couple instances of people using him, and it's wild. It's wild,
And
honestly. So.
I do think that that SAG gets painted in here as like the picture of kind of like being the bad guy in this situation. Granted that Fortnite did get the blessing from the estate to use his voice.
Hmm.
But they do just like everybody's got to know, like Ken said, that trying to protect actors and voice actors from, them using AI and taking them out basically out of work, and like
Hmm.
or like also using their talents, I guess you would say, or their voices to voice characters in projects and stuff like that. Um, so I just want
It's a slippery slope.
Yes, very much so, and it's like I said, it's they have to get painted as the bad guy, and in this, I think they're fine with that. But like, cause like, that's what they're there for. They're there for to like say like, hey, this is great. Fortnite did something that's truly tremendous and stuff, and people are having so much fun with it. But like we're here to try to protect not only voice actors but maybe like they didn't know at first that Fortnite had gotten the blessing from the James
Mhm.
Earl Jones estate to use his voice and stuff like that. So they're I feel like they're kind of like the parents that are just coming over and just checking up on the kids, like, hey, is this you okay, like that's fine then, like you guys keep doing what you're doing kind of thing. But we'll see how
Right.
it goes.
No, for sure, for sure. But amazing time in technology, to say the
For
least.
sure. I mean, not like you said, nowadays we got, not only people that, like AI can make you a script, AI can get you some, like, voice acting, AI can do so much nowadays. And, like, there's already people that would be online. They're, also criticizing for, like, when companies use AI for, like, generate art and stuff for propaganda, or not propaganda, excuse me, for commercial use and such.
Mm,
But,
mm,
I mean, like, where's the line, I guess, on it and stuff? Like you said, it's a slippery slope.
honestly.
Then the next topic that we got here on the podcast is that the Bungie's new marathon has some art theft, quote unquote, controversy surrounding it. According to the article here that I got in front of me, it said that the marathon developer Bungie has found themselves embroiled in serious art theft controversy on Thursday morning by an artist named of Anti-Real. She shared a post on social media asserting that the studio stole various designs from her collection of poster designs she created back in 2017 and has used them in its arts direction for Marathon. She has several images that she has on a thread, and she directly compared the pictures of Marathon's website art from its official press kit. Uh, Ken, I know that you have been following this game a lot closer than I have. What do you got to, I guess, for them to say here to this controversy?
You, you know, I think Bungie has serious damage control to attend to right now.
Get the PR
Um,
team, make sure they know that they're getting a raise here in the near future.
Grief, like they I just read a report that they're canceling like marketing campaigns for the game and this and that. I'm like, Good grief, you guys! And mind you, they just went through like a closed beta test all but like a few weeks ago or so,
with
and
positive reviews too.
with positive reviews, and this launched along the same time as our creators, which is the creators. I think we've covered this before.
Hmm.
The creators at the finals. So
Yep.
this is their iteration to the extraction shooter genre. So the controversy here with the artwork and this and that, blah blah blah. It sucks from someone who personally was looking forward to the game. It sucks for Bungie who hasn't been properly vetting their teams of sorts. Where they're getting their material and content. Are they paying their people? Because I mean, the art community is competitive in and of itself. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there's people who pay an arm and a leg to get into the spot to be able to be on, a Bungie production, so to speak. But all things will settle out in court, I guess, in
Yep.
that regard. It's just a bummer because a lot of these companies, especially video game companies, it seems like there's always been some type of controversy, be it workplace, this or that, or now stolen artwork. Like when it like sometimes it's like, when does it become vindictive? When does it become just business, or when is it just business, or is that
Pure
a part of
incidental.
business being vindictive? Like casualties of war kind of thing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
And this
I
could.
don't know. So it's I go
Oh, I was
ahead.
just gonna say this could very well, through the there's litigation process and stuff. It could very much well settle out of court as well.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, I think like the game has a solid audience for it. The art style is beautiful. I've put a solid I want to say 20, 30 hours or so across the beta. I think I had like the weekend off. I was able to like put my teeth into it, and it was great.
Mm.
It had some polishes, of course, being as though you only had access to but so much. But for what I was able to play, I'm like, this is something I can get myself into, especially if you've been burnt out on the likes of Fortnite or Call of Duty that's been declining. Like, if you want something fresh and different, an extraction shooter might be, something worth looking into.
And to into also Bungie's credit, excuse me, they have came out. She wrote that it says she's put that Bungie is of course not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I have refined for the last decade. But clearly, my work was enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their game without pay or attribution. Bungie also came back out and or has responded with it. Put it says that the stole of her assets and putting the blame on shoulders of a former employee that is no longer with the company. It says we immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that the former Bungie artist includes these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in the game. This was an issue unknown by our team. We are still reviewing the oversight, and it takes matters of this very seriously. And they want to do right by the artist. So kudos to Bungie for taking the action of that what they need to do and stuff with the artist that has basically with the have a grievance with and stuff like that. They don't want this to draw out in like a big litigation case that ultimately crushes the game. They want to work with her to make sure that she gets what she deserves.
Hmm. And I hope it follows through, and I hope it's not like a corporate thing sweeping under the rug versus no, let's actually get to the heart of the matter.
Right.
Especially consider how rocky I mean, there's been layoffs across the whole, whatchamacallit, what's I'm looking for? Uh, gaming market,
Oh
industry,
yeah.
we've seen mass layoffs across the board. So, coming out and speaking, granted, like former employee, like why? What's
Yeah.
the, that and it put me, and that's me playing devil's advocate in that regard. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So
Yes, hopefully she gets what she deserves and what she has coming to her because, I mean, obviously,
I love Bungie.
yeah, well, it's rave reviews on the, like you said, you told me that the game looks great and all the artwork and styles of it too, and if it's attributed to her and to her work, she should get what she has coming.
Absolutely. If the courts find it rightfully so.
And the last thing that we have to discuss here on this episode of Side Quests is our question of the day. Ken, the question of the day today is what game did you thought that you would absolutely maybe just not like, but you decided to give it a try anyways, and you ended up just like being obsessive over it or just loving the game?
Okay. I was thinking about this, and for me personally, the game would be Control. Um, when I first played it, it didn't make sense to me at all. I had like these weird cutscenes. I'm like, okay, this is stupid. I don't want to play this game. Like, I don't. Like, nothing was clicking at all in terms of just like the mystery behind everything and whatnot.
Right.
And then I kept reading like reviews, and so I was like, no, you gotta play this game. All this, like won awards, this and that. The like complete edition came, like all the things. It's like, okay, you know what? Like people can't be like you know BSing over this game. Like, this has to be the real deal. So like, it's one of those moments where I
Right.
had to like sit myself down and just play it. There's some games where it's just like
There's
you
so many
can't take
reviews that come in until you're like, all right, it keeps getting such good reviews.
Mhm.
I feel like I have to give it another shot.
Exactly, and this wasn't exactly FOMO because the game came out at least like a year or two before I actually like got around to playing it.
Okay.
So when I did end up start playing the game, I'm like, okay, well, at least the second time around when I picked it up, I started playing it. I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty lit, and started progressing further. And then over time, it was one of those games where I couldn't wait to get back to like the next, segment.
Right.
For those who've played the game, like there's like certain like rooms that you would go into that were just kind of detached from reality, kind of thing, like dream spaces, so to speak, and you had to do the puzzles and stuff, and it was just like very like mind bending of a game, so to speak. So I think that was probably one of those games where I thought I was going to hate it, but it ended up being probably one of it landed to my, I would say, top 10 because I'm being modest. I'm not really sure what my top 5 are, but top 10 without a doubt for sure. I've played a lot of games. So, but Jake, how about yourself? What's a game that you thought you'd hate, but you end up just this is your jam? You just loved it.
Well, I kept hearing a lot of murmurs about this basically poker like game, and it was called Balatro. And I saw the gameplay of it, and I saw the reviews of it. People were raving about it, and I was just like, I've never really thought of like a card game like that would be so popular. I mean, I was like, I understand people
Mm,
like have like it's a basically it's a makes their brain happy, I guess is the way that I like to put it. But I was like,
Tony.
yeah, I'm like I'll go and I like look it up and stuff, and I don't remember, I think it was like $20. And I was like, I'm not gonna spend $20 on a card game, like whatever. And then Xbox Game Pass decided that they were going to put it on, and I was like, all right, well, keep seeing these great reviews about it and everything else. I was like, but at first it was only for console. I was like, I'm not playing a card game on my console. That seems crazy. Then they
Mhm.
put it on for the PC pass, and I was like, all right, you know what? Fine. Keep seeing 9 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s. Great game, whatever. Fine. Installed it. I gave it a whirl. And at first, it was one of those like, all right, I can see why people enjoy this game. Like,
Mhm.
I I see what people see in it. And then it was, oh, I got my first win. Got my first, win on one of the stakes. I was like, all right, that's great.
Okay,
Saw the next stake, and then it was
cool.
like, hey, for this one now you have one less discard. And I'm like, oh, you can make it a little more challenging. Like, all right, cool. Like, I bet I could still get the score, get it done, and everything. One of those games you
Right.
still have to like, grind a little bit, but I got it done. And then it was just what turned into one of those games where I caught myself looking the other day, and I have all of the decks unlocked. I have like at least a win with every single one of the decks, and I think that I'm on the top stake on one of the decks, which is like the gold stake, which is like the last stake on it and stuff like that. And I don't know what it is. It's like it's very satisfying. It ended up being one of those games where it's like I want to do something that's just kind of like mind numbing, but still catches my attention. I just started playing
Mm.
find myself playing Balatro, and then all of a sudden it was like my brother was just like, "Hey, you're pretty obsessive about that game," and I couldn't even look at him and say, "Oh yeah, all right," because I was. I don't know.
And
It was one of those games where it just like I don't know. It felt like it to me like oh god, like what was it? Like it was almost like Fruit Ninja, like or something like that. Like it was like such a
no,
basic
for
premise of
sure.
like a game, but it just like carved
But
its
it's so
way.
satisfying.
Yeah, it just carved away and like it just found like a little nook and cranny inside your brain, and it just something about me clicking and throwing up like a straight or a full house flush, whatever you want to do at it, and just watching those cards get add up for the points, and I'm like, yeah, I could bet I could do this in one hand. I don't
Well,
know. It
I,
just
I think it's like the feeling of gambling without actually gambling, because like roguelikes are in itself gambling, and it's like,
right.
okay, well, let's make the feeling of gambling with what you associate with gambling, and you get Bellagio. And I've like, you're the one who was like, not necessarily introduced it to the game, but like I've seen it, like in the channels of sorts, and then you're just like, oh, I've been playing Bellagio. I was like, oh man, it got to you too, okay. So, and then like, all right, let me. Like, if Jake's playing, I gotta play it. Then that's what.
you
That's literally what went to my say. If he's playing it, I gotta at least try, because it got released for free on the PlayStation stores. Like, well, like you
you
said, if I ain't gotta pay for it, then let me try it. And I hate for that to be like a selling premise. But at the same token, I'm glad I had the opportunity to play, because I have it out on my PlayStation, I have it on my phone, I have it on my tablet, and I'm about to get on my computer here in a couple minutes. We're talking about, because but it's a fun game for sure. And it's so simple, and I think that's what it is. It's such a simple. It goes to show, like, you don't need a AAA $1,000 $1 million budget to make something that people can just relatively enjoy. And we saw that with Candy Crush. We see that with, like, even Fortnite. Like that's. I mean, now obviously Fortnite's $1 billion. Not saying that Candy Crush hasn't made, I'm sure, well over their spoils of a bit. Like, I'm sure they brought the monies in. But what I'm saying is, like, the simple isn't bad, provided that you can do it right. You know what I'm saying? Provided that you can communicate whatever it is that you can try to communicate. If it lands, then you got Bellagio. You know what I'm saying?
Look, it's something. It's to me like as the only other card game like that to me that I remember it being that addicting was like old school throwback like solitaire. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was just so good once you finally
Or
got
Free
all the card.
Cell. Did you ever play Free Cell?
Yeah, you put in like you like it's like solitaire too. You get all the cards lined up at the top, and you win, and they just like drop down and they start like bouncing around on the screen and stuff. It's like such a
That
satisfying
was
feeling.
that was such a great moment, and like, yeah, the kids never understand. Kids
Yeah,
never
we're so
understand.
dating ourselves right now.
Yeah, kids understand like that when you be solitaire and you get that rainfall. Like, what? The
Oh
whole
man.
screen, the whole. I used to watch like the corners. Did you get it all? You got it all. Okay,
Oh yeah.
okay,
Yep. You're just like,
okay.
hey,
You
look,
got
I
it
still see
all.
some of the green that's left on the board here, and like, yeah, it's
And I got it.
Yeah, I don't. For there was at least a moment in time for sure that like me and some of my friends were just hanging out in Discord, streaming like games of Balatro and just playing it for like 2 to 3 hours like at a time and just trying to beat at like this deck or this stake and stuff like that. But they just have tons of different jokers and different varieties of like ways you can upgrade the cards or upgrade your hand per se, and it makes the game very fresh. It feels like it almost out of every hand that you do.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very true. I know I got a couple times where you get there's this one Joker that I got where you like if you get at least 25% or if you had at least a 25% less in terms of the amount needed to reach your bid, you can get a pass, like where you
Yeah,
can
it destroys the card.
survive another play. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was I feel how deep in I was. I was like, oh my gosh, saved my ass, But I think not to a couple hands afterwards, it was like, oh shit, that card again. But every now and then I see the card pull up. I'm like, it's one of those rarities that could save you, provided that you're playing things right. And sometimes the cards just don't hit. I'm like, this game's rigged. This game's cheap. I'm like, oh, this game no more.
To show like if anything my obsession with this game, I definitely did not download it on my phone because I know that I wouldn't get anything else done if I did. That it's that good to me. It's
Do
like,
it.
no, I can't do it.
Jake.
I'm not strong enough, Ken.
Just do it. It's okay. Nobody's gonna know.
That's the worst part is everybody would know if they were. Hey, Jake, what do you think of? Dude, what are you doing?
Is he still on the toilet? Still on the toilet?
But needless to say, that the Balatro. Needless to say, this game is.
gonna flush? No pun intended.
This game is addicting as hell. So if you do have a chance, like we said, of the PlayStation Store or the Game Pass to play this game and give it a try, every person that I've recommended it to, I have yet to hear anybody say that they did not like it. So there's at least that endorsement for it.
No, for sure. Shout out to the developers or developer. I don't think it was a large team that made the game at all either. So, shout out to the team or teams that made the vision happen. It's a fun game.
Shout out to Local Thunk. It's the developer for it. Developed by Local Thunk and published by developed by Local Thunk and published.
That was just random.
Developed by Local Thunk. Love the name, and it's also it was published by PlayStag. I want to make sure that we get all of its accolades and everything that it deserves properly. 10 out of 10 on Steam, 9 out of 10 at IGN, and 90 out of 100 on Metacritic. So.
Good deal. I was like who? You just come out of nowhere with the thunk. Okay.
Local Thunk. That's a hell of a handle.
Yeah, it's like, all right. At least it's close.
I want to make sure they get everything that they deserve, bro. Local Thunk, you did your thing. You played it. You definitely, what is it? Indie Game of the Year last year. I'm pretty positive, and that was a nominee for Game of the Year just because of the popularity alone. But yeah, they build a roguelike deck building game, and they're getting rewarded and everything for all their hard work. Local Thunk.
Keep thunking.
Keep thunking. Local Thunk.
Thunk life.
Thunk.
Look at that. I'm gonna get on my belly. Right, you guys, that's all for this week. Again, thank you for tuning to another episode of Side Quest. We went over everything from, of course, the newly AI-powered Fortnite to the alleged downfall of Marathon. Of course, we went over Doom, the Dark Ages, and seeing if they can solidify themselves as AAA demon slayer shooting, you know. But again, don't forget to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook.
Also, leave a comment down below on the game that you guys thought that you were going to hate but ultimately fell in love with as well. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.